Hi, I'm Pete from Global Business Performance Limited. How do you prevent your company growth from stalling? It is common for firms of all sizes to reach a plateau where revenue growth just seems to stall. Political and economic factors beyond our direct control have an impact on company growth, of course, but surprisingly, the research shows that 87% of growth stalls are preventable and are related to the strategic decisions you've made in the past. It's critical to measure the key performance indicators, on which you know I'm a real absolute fan of, that drive your current business model on a weekly and monthly basis. However, these metrics may not register that a significant change is occurring in your business. Now, if you're not vigilant about industry changes and do not take corrective action quickly, it can be extremely difficult to kickstart things to get your business growing again. In fact, the research shows that the odds are against you ever returning to growth. Most growth stalls occur because a strategic assumption that was once true no longer applies to your business model. In fact, it is the assumptions that you hold most deeply or have known so long that you no longer question them. And these pose the greatest threat to your long-term growth and survival. The tendency to cling to obsolete or incorrect ideas has been characterized as groupthink. Typically, the large incumbent company has enjoyed a long run of success with their existing business model. The leaders have become closed-minded. There is peer pressure towards uniformity. Leaders overestimate their abilities based on their past success. They fail to consider alternatives and filter out new information that does not match their existing view of the world. They keep expanding the features of their current offerings, adding more costs rather than more revenue. Let me say it again. They keep adding more costs rather than more revenues. They become bloated and unfocused. They fail to realize that their customers are increasingly attracted to new entrants with disruptive new business models. Think new banks like Starling or Monzo, who have totally disrupted the main bank offerings and the way they do business. They mistakenly think their brand name will protect them from these inferior competitors. This classic trap is called the innovator's dilemma. Business change comes a lot quicker than you think, and leaders have to adapt and be faster at responding. Questioning your strategic assumptions on a regular basis is critical, but seldom something that leaders do well, if at all. Now, every month we read about the death and decline of well-known businesses who failed to adapt to new entrant startups with new business models. How are you and your business adapting to the new rhythm? Are you making the changes when they need to be made, or are you hoping it will look after itself and it will be okay? Here is a model I use to help business owners achieve growth. So let's look at this business model. You see, we have the present right up through the S-curve to the future. At the present, we start, and when the business is going well, we've got really good growth, and then it plateaus. And it's at this stage we either decline and the business dies, or you go through the transition zone. And the transition zone goes one of two ways. You go back towards the start because you've had probably staff and you think, man, this is too hard, because potentially you haven't trained them or they're just hard to work with. And going back to the start, you have growth, but you're a one-man band, all right? And you can't grow any more than that because it's just you having to do the work. It's you doing all the time. It's you doing all the work every day. And you can only have a finite amount of time, and you can only make a finite amount of money. So let's go back to the transition zone. However, this time, instead of falling back down the growth path, you actually move up and have more growth. You transition through to the future where the S-curve is going really well. And then when you go through that growth again, you'll get to another plateau where you do another transition zone through the plateau. But at this stage I'm picking, because you've been through it once, you'll actually continue through that S-curve and keep on moving up and up. So, my question to you as I'm ending this, where are you on the S-curve and where do you want to be? I'm Pete from Global Business Performance Limited.